Hello everyone, welcome back to another part of this series where I show you how to create this Dark Souls 3 inspired environment in Blender. So in the last video I made this grass and I set it up so only the grass would show through the areas that I kind of highlight on the vertex group here, and I did the same thing for this bottom piece, this one here, and the main kind of hallway here. So I went through and reselected all these vertexes to show where the plants will pop up. But one problem with this is right now, if I click to play the animation, the grass is sitting completely still, and that's not very realistic. I kind of want a tiny bit of movement, as if there is a tiny bit of wind in the background. So what I'm going to do to kind of make it look like there is wind happening is I'm just going to go to the layout mode. We'll take a look at this bit here, and I'm going to do this material preview to kind of see what it's going to look like a bit more. And if I go to my modifier here, I can kind of set a keyframe at each of these points, probably for the rotation and probably not for the scale actually. Rotation and offset I think will look quite good. So let's say for example I want them to be swaying kind of left and right. I can just add keyframes along my timeline here for the offset X. So let's say right now I want it to be at 0, then by like maybe 90 I'll make this 0.2, keyframe it, then by 180, and go back to 0 and keyframe it. And then the camera's already gone past, so there's not really much point continuing after this point. But now that alone looks a bit more like this. So as you can see, they're slowly kind of moving around. And what I can also do is do it on the Y, so I'll quickly do that one now as well. And with this, I'm going to make it a slightly shorter time, let's say like 80. And I'm going to keyframe 0.2 I, well not I, because that's going to add a keyframe to other kind of attributes, which I don't want to do. I'm going to specifically press the keyframe icon down here. Then we can go to 160 and set this back to 0, apply. So it's quite an easy way to kind of make it look like there's some wind happening without doing anything really too complicated. And it doesn't look that amazing, but it kind of does sort of create the idea that there is something happening. So I'm going to also do the Z a little bit, but I'll probably do that sped up or off camera because you get the idea of what I'm doing now. I am going to do the rotation now as well, just to show you how to do that. So let's say I'm going to mark this keyframe here at 1, then we'll go to like 70. I'm going to set this to maybe 40, so don't want to do it too much. Is that? Yeah, we'll do it 40. If I go to 140, go back to 30, keyframe it. If I go to 210, I can try 40 again, because the camera is still going to be kind of looking a little bit, I think at that point. It sees it a tiny bit, so barely make a difference, but I'm just going to do it anyway, I think. So that creates this kind of look. So it's very slowly moving. If I want to make it more intense, I can just up the amount at each keyframe here, or kind of shorten the whole thing, maybe duplicate it over. And I'm also going to don't think scaling in the Z will look that good. Or maybe just in the Z actually. I think the Y and the X doesn't really make sense because the plants, it could work. I'm going to need to do a bit of experimenting with this, but I think maybe just a little bit in the Z as well will make it look cool. So I'm just going to do that one more time. So like here it will be 1, maybe just at 100. I'll make it 1.2, do that. I'll do that 1 frame back, then at 200 set it back to 1 again, keyframe that. And I think that looks okay, but I'm gonna change it to maybe 1.1 because it looks a bit too much like it literally just is the plants going up, which doesn't really make much sense. So a bit more like this. That looks slightly better because it's a lot more subtle and they go down again. I think that looks okay. Like I said, I'm still gonna do it with the Z offset and the Y and the Z rotation here, and I think that should look okay. And I could add a bit to the scale as well, but I think since I'm already doing it here, I'm not gonna bother with that. So again, I need to do the same thing down here. I'll add them on the side here as well, and then of course near the end of the animation I will add it to these guys back here. Another thing I want to do in this video as well is texture some of these assets, because I think right now the scene, it looks cool in solid mode, but sometimes I really like to see what it looks like in the material preview. I think it would be cool to do that now. I'm going to start with this main wall back here. So first I'm just going to do a simple smart UV unwrap since it's literally just a straight line. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks fine. For this material I think I want a kind of similar brick texture to what we've got here, but I want sort of less moss that's going to appear on this material. So I'm going to go open Polyhaven and have a look for a material now, and one I find that I like I will leave in the description. Okay, so I've gone for a kind of more generic brick look that I can just kind of add some more effects to if I want them to look a bit more blended into the environment here. So just going to go to my shading mode, new material, just going to call this bricks, then my node wrangler add-on. I can easily do this. Go to this one, bricks, textures, and let's have a look what that looks like. So I think right now the first thing I'm noticing is I need to kind of drag up UV map or scale up the mapping in the shading. I'm going to do in the UV editor though. So if I just bring this up by maybe like 3, no, it needs to be more than that, around about this size. So it is scaled up pretty high. I think it looks better here. And now if I also drag it over to 90, just looking at my reference as well still to kind of see how that looks. Maybe a little bit in actually, kind of like this. I'll go to my shading. Right now I think it is a bit too kind of grey. I kind of want it to be a little bit maybe lighter, a bit more orangey, maybe a bit more green as well to kind of blend in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my nodes over here and go from their color and search for a hue saturation value, and input will be the color. So see what happens firstly if I shift the hue around a tiny bit. I'll be able to find a kind of orangey color, maybe something like this a little bit. Well, actually I'm just going to play with the saturation first. If I just drag this down, move this over a little bit. This might take a little while to kind of experiment with, so I might just kind of forward through this bit. So for now I'm just going to leave it like this. I've only added slight, really small amounts of differences here in the node here, but I'm going to combine this with the mossy texture like we have done with these ones here. So I'm also going to grab this node group here to make it a lot easier for where I'm going to kind of choose where each texture will shine through. So I'm going to get rid of this one. Also going to ignore the displacement for now because it can be a bit annoying trying to combine 2 displacement maps, and we have the normal map as well, which I think will look good enough on its own. Okay, so that's already adding a bit of kind of green shading to it. So also going to input my kind of vector map there with the texture coordinate I'm mapping there. So this already makes the color blend in a lot more. So I'm just going to kind of play around with the color ramp here, see what looks nice. Okay, I think something like this looks cool for now. If I want to change it later, I easily can do because we have some materials saved here. But for now, I am happy with how this looks. Next, I'm going to do this section here that kind of goes along, and I want this to be a bit more of like a smoother material. So I'm going to go back to Polyhaven and have a look for what I'm kind of looking for here. Okay, so I've downloaded this kind of concrete material. So let me open this and quickly apply it, which of course right now I haven't done any UV unwrapping. And also what I wanted to do with these objects up here is make each of them look a little bit different. So for now I'm just going to delete these ones and delete the mirror. We have a subdivision surface. Let's see what that looks like without that. Don't think I really need the subdivision surface. I think that I had that on in case I wanted to do a bit of sculpting, but for now I don't think I really want to do that at the moment. So I'm going to see how this looks with the smart UV unwrap done. I think that should look, yeah, that looks okay actually. It's done a pretty good job. So this looks quite nice by itself. See what it looks like turned to the side. It might look better. Doesn't really make a difference there, I don't think. Yeah, not really. I like how this looks. Probably I'm going to also combine it with the moss just because I've done that with everything else, so let's just quickly do that now. Okay, so I think this looks good. It's very kind of subtle, and I'm actually gonna make it look a lot less. I'm gonna turn the roughness up because as you can see those seams there are very kind of obvious. So if I turn the roughness up and then kind of play with these points here a little bit and control that a bit more and make those seams look a bit less obvious. Something like this. I like how that looks. All I need to do now is just go through duplicating each of these along this section here and then add a couple of edge loops and just bring some sections down, bring some bits up to add that imperfections. But for now I'm not going to do that. I'll just show you how I'll do it. Just grab my vertex up here and I need to make sure that everything is lined up correctly. So if I set my transform to set my origin to geometry, then if I just turn on snapping, I can snap the object to that vertex. Then if I do the same thing here and here, basically just keep going along the whole way across until they're all placed. And I'm going to do that now just to kind of have a look at what it looks like. So one there, one there. I'm going to join them all and add the mirror modifier. Okay, so this is looking a lot nicer already. We'll go to layout mode so I can see the plants how they really would look without that face orientation on. I think this looks pretty nice. So just think I want to do the stones next, these rocks on the ground here, and then I've also got the pillars to do and the bricks. It's pretty much going to be the exact same way I've done these materials here. If I want to add something different, I will just look on Polyhaven and get a slightly different concrete or brick material, and then I'm going to apply it just to these bricks down here and combine it with the moss texture. Probably going to do that off camera since it's just more of the exact same thing I've been doing there. And then for this large kind of building here, it's going to be a bit annoying to texture because it's a bit of a stranger shape. and a lot bigger. So the easiest thing to do would be to, also just checking out, I don't think I need this subdivision modifier one really. It's not actually making too much of a difference. So I'm going to turn that off, so we just have a lot simpler of a mesh. Something like this, I think a smart UV unwrap should be fine, because it is generally quite like a simple square shape. See what that looks like. I think that looks alright. Might need to just turn this face here around, which I will do now, so at least the textures will be facing the right way. And I think for something like that, the best material to use will be the one we've got down here for the walls. So filing materials, hide everything else. As you can see, it's just a simple brick texture, so can't really go wrong with that. And also you can't really see it too much because we've got this object in the way. If I just hide this for a sec, you can see it's just a nice material like that. Gonna go to UV editing and just probably double the size of the whole thing. See how that lines up. That looks a lot nicer. And also I need to make sure the bricks up here are a bit more kind of straight. So I think that's these ones. So let's turn that by 90. Now these bits are facing the right way, these bits are facing the right way. So that'll do. That'll do for this image here, or this object here. And I think for this kind of thing, what I might do, need to quickly check if I've got the level 1 subdivision. That should be okay. I might be able to just keep that on actually. See what a smart UV unwrap does. That'll hopefully look okay. And I think this material here, the concrete, might look nice for this. Link materials. Make sure that's shaded smooth. And I think that looks pretty nice. If I want to change it, I might make it like a duplicate material, make this a little bit darker, or maybe add a bit less or more moss to it just to make it look a bit different. But to be fair, it doesn't really look too obvious there that they're the same material anyway, especially from back here. So I think that looks quite nice. I'll do the same thing over there, but I'll do it later on. Bricks, I also think something like the concrete material might look nice there as well. So let's try get what does this look like? No, I don't really like what that looks like. Or maybe I could use the damaged stone and then make a duplicate and make it a bit more, kind of change the color a bit and add a bit more green to it. But we'll see what this material is. This can't remember what we've actually used this material for. I think it's for the kind of pillars here. I can't remember where I used this material, but I like what it looks like anyway. But originally I was going to try out just a stone brick. I think that looks okay. I just have to do a bit of scaling, maybe down, maybe even up again. Rotate it sideways, might look okay. I think that looks alright. I need to kind of decide. I think all the materials look pretty nice, so I need to decide which material I want to kind of use for the final render. But all of them look okay, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just need to UV unwrap each one and then add the material, which might take a little while, but it will look nice afterwards. I've got to do the same thing back there as well for all the different bricks. Now for the floor, I'll probably find new material, but just have a look what it will look like. I unwrap this. Let's use, say, bricks material. I think that already looks okay, but I want to do a bit of work on it anyway, so I might just find another material for the floor. And while I'm here, I'll just quickly look what that looks like with, say, damaged stone for now. And as you can see, it's starting to look a little bit nicer. All these materials here, everything colored in a bit more. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to quickly do these pillars here now because they're going to be a bit more work than just applying the material. So I think what might look best for this material is firstly deleting the other ones because I've got to do work on all of them, kind of reduplicate them. So I'm going to delete this, get rid of our mirror modifier. So I'm just left with one, which make sure there are no overlapping vertices, nothing like that. So with this, let's see. First thing I need to do is kind of apply where I want these bevels to be added, but I'm going to do the unwrap first, which usually is around about the same points where I want the bevels to be, but they won't exactly be the same. So for now, I'm just going to go through and mark all those points. And for this like cylinder I've added here, I'm gonna come back and do that in a minute, because what I want to do is kind of just delete the faces in the inside, so we don't need to deal with that. For now, I'm just nearly finished with this bit, those ones here, and one along the bottom as well. So I think I've gotten everything. There's a chance I might have missed something somewhere. I'm gonna make sure to do this inside face as well, if it's even connected, which I don't think it is actually. I think this is just another object that kind of ends. Quite hard to tell, but that's all gonna be hidden away anyway, so you won't be able to tell in the final thing. So I'm just gonna mark this area, mark seam, and I want to do one along the back as well actually, so maybe around about there. Mark the seam. Gonna hide everything else for now to make it easier. So that's what it looks like at the moment. With this cylinder here, or with the not cylinder, the kind of ring, I'm just gonna remove these faces because you can't even see them in the final render anyway, so they're hidden inside the other objects. And go all the way down here, delete the faces, delete this one as well, even this one along the outside. And now this whole object is going to be a lot easier to unwrap. I actually only need to add the seam just back here. Also, to save space, just going to delete the bottom face. Won't be able to see it anyway. I think generally that's okay. If I add a material now, it will all be a bit stretched and weird. But then if I use my angle base, see how that looks. I think this is looking okay. Around the back it might be a bit obvious where our seam is. Everywhere else you can't really tell, and that's actually turned out pretty nice. Let's have a look over here. Yeah, it's okay. If I shade smooth, it's going to look a bit weird now. So I need to add my bevels, which is basically just selecting all those points where I just UV unwrapped it and adding a slight bevel, 2 segments, a small one. And I can do that later. That's quite an easy thing to do. Just bring everything else back. For now, I think this looks okay. Something like this material here. I'm just going to do a simple smart UV unwrap. I think I'm going to use the same concrete material for this. But that already looks pretty nice. Let's quickly add that here, see what it looks like. Yeah, I like what that looks like. I might do that with the same material down here for these ones, and these ones across here. Might change all these later. It's just for now. I want to get a better idea what the scene actually looks like with materials applied, so we're not just looking at everything being in this white color. Let's also change the ground to this one. Stone bricks, I think I want them to be a bit of a darker color. I don't actually mind what this looks like, the damaged brick material. Obviously I need to go through and UV unwrap everything again, so I might just make a duplicate of that material and make it a little bit kind of darker. So I'll quickly just show you how I do that now. It's literally just the damaged stone. I'm going to duplicate it, call it damaged stone darker. If I zoom in here, I can use my value, kind of turn it down a bit, something like this. The saturation down a bit. Actually, it looks quite good with a bit more of an orangey tone, so I'm going to turn the saturation up a bit and just play with these values till I'm happy. And something similar to this, maybe I'll make it a bit more grayed out. Something kind of like this I think looks quite good, so I'd use that material here as well. And this here looks better already, I think. So pretty much I'm just going to keep doing this stuff until the whole scene is nicely coloured in. I still have more to add after that, like vines and maybe some other bits at the front here, and I need to figure out what I want to do moving forward with this scene. I need to add the fire. There's a few extra bits I need to do, but I think everything's going to look a lot better after it's had the materials added. So that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.